Hello, hi, this is Nick995. For this video, I'm going to be ranking my PS4 collection based on the least perfection or the least amount of flaws. So least amount of flaws. So the less flaws a game has, the lower it's going to be in the list. I'm going to be starting, and it's going to be top 15 because if I was to do 60, or no, like if I was to do all 30 or 40 of my PS4 games, it would take too long. I was ranking the million flaws and again, it's not necessarily a game could have lots of flaws or a relative lots of flaws, and I might still enjoy that game. For the is. If you're watching this, like, subscribe, share the video all over, share it, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You guys know the deal. And person that subscribe watermark down there, please. And yeah. So number 15 is gonna be Battlefield 1. Battlefield 1. 15. Battlefield 1 is not. Now again, with this now, Battlefield 1 is one of my favorite multiplayer games of all time. But however, there's progression. Like there's things wrong with that progression, the maps, the difficulty, the time to kill. There's a lot. And obviously the servers will shut down. EA. It's almost like EA can pick and choose when the servers will work versus when they don't. Especially considering this game is like 5 years old and it's almost like they don't put much care into it. The servers will shut down, you can't play the multiplayer. So glitches and all that, and yeah, but the gunplay, like it's pretty solid for its era. It's World War I, so you're not shooting. You're not really, no, there's not a lot of fully automatic weapons. But again, like the maps need work. There's not a whole lot of like it has a variety of maps, but the maps themselves need work. Again, yeah, it just feels unbalanced. Like you die very quickly, but it's like there's lots of different game modes which actually kind of makes up for it. But the servers, the glitches, and the mechanics, it kind of move slow, relatively slow. Actually, no, you move fast, but the gunplay sometimes won't feel as smooth. But yeah, that's the progression. And in microtransactions, the loot boxes. Or sometimes it'll be like a challenge where, you gotta do this unrealistic challenge where you gotta use this really bad weapon with really bad recoil and kill like 200 enemies with this gun before you can unlock a special gun. So yeah, progression needs work on. And then next one now is gonna be Metal Gear Solid 5. Metal Gear Solid 5. Don't get me wrong, it's a solid game, but there's fragments in the story. Progression system is mainly linked to the mother base development in that you can develop your own. There's endless amount of development, weapons that you can develop and all that. Progression is solid. Story, again, the story, there are fragments in the story missing, meaning that you don't get to see much of the main villain. The main villain was hyped up to be this, if you guys know, Skullface was hyped up to be this big villain, kind of like the Night King from Game of Thrones, but I don't know. There wasn't enough on him. There wasn't enough scenes with him in it. He was barely in it. And as well so story is kind of a letdown, and as well as things like that the map is too big. The map is just too big. It's an open world game, and so that the map feels it's too big and it's empty. And for a stealth game, that's why for a stealth oriented game, open world games don't always work. Open world and stealth don't always work. If it's a stealth oriented game, but this one is running and gunning. But again, it's big and empty. There's not a whole lot to collect other than plants, and there's so many different types of plants and animals, but there's not really much else, and bases and side missions. But and as well as now the mechanics, one good thing about this mechanics is solid. It's very, very, very solid game when it comes to mechanics. The running, it feels so realistic. The shooting feels so real. Like it feels like an actual, like you're actually holding like an actual gun. And then explosions, the sound effects, it's amazing. It's really, really, really good. The graphics, good. the character, you know, like the cinematics, like the cinematics is so well done. It's just that there's fragments of the story which is a letdown. Next one is gonna be Witcher 3. Now Witcher 3, aside from no, there's things like mechanics are the main reason why this is ranked lower in terms of least amount of flaws. But with mechanics though, there's things like the movement doesn't feel fluent. There's glitches in the mechanics. Like your character moves very light in that, yeah, you know, basically like a walking box, like a walking empty box, and he's very 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 light. Then the jumping, sometimes like he'll get stuck in certain animations or glitches, or your horse will the two back legs for the horse will kind of curl up, and then that's a weird glitch. This is a weird animation. Then you're like running like you're like you know, riding a two-legged horse, so it's weird. It's a very lot of weird glitches. The fighting could be, the swordplay could be better. You know, where there's not a whole lot of variety of attack. You know, no, like aside from the magic attacks, like with your sword, there's not a whole lot of different attacks, you know, unless parrying and all that. But yeah, aside from that, actually, and there's you know, like a little nitpick in that. It's obviously a dialogue heavy RPG game. It's very very dialogue heavy. So you're gonna be like stuck in, you know, it's almost like you're watching a TV show, like a really good TV show, like a movie. So you're gonna be stuck. You'll be stuck in a dialogue scene for 1 hour or 1 hour and 30 minutes. Sometimes it'll go on too long, so you gotta kind of skip through it. But it's so good that you don't want to skip. But again, you're so immersed into it but sometimes you'll be in something where like, man, can I get back to the gameplay? So you're gonna be asking yourself that. But endless exploration, endless side missions. The main missions were so well done. Again, mission variety was such a well done. But just with the glitches, the mechanics, animation, you know, or breakage or whatever, and tons of enemy variety, and the swordplay. Again, the swordplay could be better. Next one is gonna be Spider-Man Miles Morales. Not a whole lot to say. No, Miles Morales is kind of underwhelming in the story. I didn't feel a sense of purpose really playing it. And the fact that, like, I playing it is like, where's Peter Parker, you know? But, again, it basically has the same mechanics that Spider-Man PS4 has. It basically has the same mechanics and upgrades and similar upgrades. But, again, like, and this one just feels underwhelming to me. Like, overall experience just feels underwhelming. So, you know, based on default, you know, and there's things like, you obviously have more powers in this one. There's more enemy, a variety. But again, like, underwhelming story. The upgrades, actually, the upgrades could be better. The upgrades could have been better in this one. The open world as well. But, man, you know, aside from that, like, it's a pretty solid. It's a pretty solid game if you can get past the story, the underwhelming story. Next one is going to be Red Dead 2. It's weird Red Dead 2 ranked this low. But Red Dead 2 has problems like where, aside from the exploration, the great story, one of the best video game stories, I would say, you know, and again, like, the game itself, the map is like its own country. It's like they crafted its own country, like this part out of the United States. That feels so real. And you know, every character has their own motivation. It's like watching a Game of Thrones where you're watching this different corruption and who can you trust. And but like with the game now, there's things where if you don't know, you know, if you don't know how to upgrade, like, you gotta upgrade your camp, right? Your main camp, you gotta upgrade. But if you don't know how to upgrade your camp or whatever, you can't fast travel. So if you're in a random area, if you're in the middle like of the wilderness hunting animal or whatever, or going to the chopper which crafts different clothes for you, you're gonna have trouble where you're gonna run into a situation where it's like, oh, I gotta get to this mission, but it's all the way like on the other side, like the map, which will take you like another 40 minutes to get to. And it's a big map, so the world being big, and unless you have fast travel unlock where you can set up your own mini like camp or whatever, campfire, and then from there you can fast travel. So you gotta upgrade. You gotta really take advantage of fast travel. And with the mechanics, your character moves very heavy. Character will move very heavy, and then there's a hit, a detection, or something like hit where you'll, like if you even slightly hit like a tree or a certain surface side of a building, like you'll just fall down randomly, or your horse will get damaged, or hurt badly, and then yeah. So yeah, those realistic mechanics, and then like when you're in your camp, your main camp, you can't run. So little nitpicks like that. There's just little nitpicks, but yeah, the mechanics kind of work against you, and then like when you're in the gunplay, to me, it's pretty solid, but it still needs an improvement. Again, the character moves very heavy and all that, and then too, you kind of have to use auto aim to kind of go from this enemy to this enemy, and again too with the when you're in a house and you gotta pick up these things, you gotta pick up certain items or whatever. I can be a pain in the ass because your character moves slowly to reach and pick up this item. So you gotta move to first person view, and then you'll pick up an item that you didn't mean to pick up. So yeah, those are interchangeable weird mechanics that hold it back. But aside from that, solid. Really, 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 really solid. And again, it has some slow story. Again, there's low points like in the story, like there's a bad mission in chapter 3. There's chapter 5 which slows it down, and chapter 6 I believe could have been better. But yeah. Next one is gonna be Near Automata. These games going on, so we're now Near Automata now. That's wait a minute. So we're like in top 10, top 11. So Near Automata, this is gonna be 11. Basically, or 10. Basically, now like with this is that there isn't really much to say bad. Except the exploration could be better. The exploration could be a lot better. And those two final bosses though, oh my god. No, there's the third to last boss and the second last boss. It was so bad, It was a really bad boss battle where the boss gets glitched and you're wondering what the hell do I do and all that. I just hate those type of bosses. But solid game, like really, 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 like very solid game. Arcade like, it mixes action adventure with arcade like platforming. Bird's eye view and side view, and yeah, all those things, The progression is there, like solid progression is solid, upgrade system solid, enemy variety, tons of enemy variety, and it forces you to adapt to a certain situation. But yeah. Next one, number 9 is gonna be Infamous Second Son. Second Son, the main thing with it is that I look at it though, I could be longer. There's not a whole lot to say negative. Every game going on, like from here on out, there's not much negative to say. It's gonna be hard, so I kind of gotta just say like this game, So they're gonna be there's not much bad to say about these games, but with Infamous Second Son, the game could be longer itself. The game itself could be longer. They need to focus more on things like, for example, the utilization of powers across challenges. So they could have challenges. You obviously have different arrays of powers, elemental abilities. You got smoke, concrete, neon light, video, pixels, or whatever. So they could add like a challenge mode, which helps you, force you to utilize the powers in different ways through different challenges and all that. There's not a lot of side missions. There isn't a whole lot. The story was well done, but it's short. It's really, really, really short. They're gonna finish the entire story within 4 hours, and it's like, I want more. I want more meaning with the story. But aside from that, there's not a whole lot bad to say. Aside from that, and the NPCs, the open world kind of feels, even though it looks beautiful, but it kind of feels bland as to how people, they obviously the karma system is back, but it's not as detailed as the earlier Infamous is, or Infamous 2. But sometimes though the open world can feel bland. Number 8, I don't know what we're at, 8 or 7. It is gonna be Horizon Zero Dawn. I believe, yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn now. this is gonna be the end of part one. Part one. So part one is 15-8. Part two is gonna be 7-1. So we're at Rise Zero Dawn now is gonna be, again, like action adventure, open world, lots to see, lots to explore. There's like almost nothing bad to say. But however, one thing though I would say is that it needed to improve upon things like action of no, like when you're in a certain area, or certain times there's gonna be things where you're gonna be fighting robots. So you're like this tribalistic person with a bow and arrow, and then you're fighting robots, basically. So are you gonna feel like it's hard to really make a combat system around that? But you mainly gotta be stealthy. But again, like progression system could be better, I would say. Some of the upgrades you don't really need, they're not necessary. At least you're fighting like other tribe, like enemy tribe members or so. But yeah, progression system could be better, and the combat could be better. And story, I feel like the story was, there's tons of side missions actually. Tons of side missions, endless amount of side missions, and characters to meet, and again graphics. But the story could be a bit better. I feel a bit better. Yeah. I need to see the story through more perspectives and all that. But yeah, anyways, that's just part one of the video. Again, ranking games based on perfection. So this is 15-8 or 15-7, one of them. For the next video, I'm gonna be finishing off with the top 7. And thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share the video.